Hello, everyone. Welcome to the contributor meeting. I'm going to be your host today. I'm Leo. And let me start by sharing my screen. All right. Hopefully you can see my screen.
Yep, looks good.
Okay, thank you. Let me just move this here. All right. Okay. So starting off with triaging discussions, we had last week myself and Christian. So I saw you added a topic here, Christian. You want to discuss about it? Do you have anything to mention about it, that one?
Yeah, just that I was able to reproduce it in 2.10 CLI. I haven't tested it in 2.11 about the yeah, the output. It seems to have like an extra curly brace or something in the JSON output that doesn't make it valid JSON. So just it's been there for a couple weeks or a week, I think. So yeah, I haven't really other than like verifying it, I haven't done much other work other than that. I'm surprised more people haven't complained about it. Um so yeah. Um there is a workaround. So someone in the community did comment about a workaround. Um so it looks like there's a workaround currently for that specific version. So
It seems that JSON is malformed. Is that right?
yeah, looks like they have to strip off, I think,
Mm.
a leading little curly brace thingy. It's a
Mhm.
technical term. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks for bringing this up. So any directions on this? It doesn't seem to have anyone assigned.
Might be good to add a good first issue label because that's
Yeah,
very
Yeah.
that's a good
complex.
Oh yeah, and tag it with CLI as well. Yeah.
CLI.
Components. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Thank you. Okay, so anything else, Christian, you want to bring up?
No.
All right. Thank you. Moving on my side, one issue I'd like to briefly discuss here is this one. I saw Michael, you're in the call. Yes. So the user is suggesting to add similar functionality for the customize. So just providing background, yeah, some background information. Um, so the user is trying to create, it seems that they have a large application set and they're mixing Helm charts and customize. For some of their applications they share in that big repo, sometimes they have some applications having some of the values files from Helm, some of them they don't. And for Helm, we have this flag here that will just move on if the files is missing. So basically, he's asking to have some feature parity with customize. So Michael should reply back to him, which I agree the direction Michael used here, saying that he was opposed to have specific functionality on top of customize and instead asked to have that functionality available in the upstream project, in this case, customize. And the user replied back that ignore missing value files is not a main feature in customize either. So I guess the discussion here is whether or not we're okay with having some sort of feature parity between the Helm and customize, or if we just go in the direction Michael was suggesting there. Anyone sharing opinions on this? The thing is, the customize section here that we have in the application set, it actually defines how the customization.yaml will look like. And if we specify like a single line in the components here that doesn't exist, customize will fail for sure. So I don't think they will ever have this type of functionality in customize itself, unless I'm misunderstanding how this section here is actually used by the application set generator. So any opinions on this, anyone?
I'll expand on my opinion slightly. I worry about folks using application sets to basically make Franken customizations. I think that when you have all this information packed into the application spec, it's probably because the platform team or whoever's managing the app spec doesn't necessarily have a clear picture of what their developers are actually deploying. So that confusion ends up expressed in sort of optional parts of the customized spec. That's kind of an opinionated way of looking at how config management ought to be done. I do understand the utility of the feature. There is something nice, though, about having a customized section of the application spec that is literally just a representation of what will be written into customization.yaml. I think there's value in that simplicity.
I agree. Yeah, and just to your point here, I don't think customized folks will ever add this type of functionality on top of customize.
Who
So
did the feature to add components into the application manifest? Maybe that person should get into the discussion of either we should make the components optional or not. I'm not sure to understand the use case to have components in the app manifest and not into the developer customization YAML.
I guess this is because they're defining this as part of the application set, Alex. In the application set, we will use this section to automatically generate the customization.yaml.
Yes, I think it would make sense to, I mean, because then the people that define those list of components, they have no way to know if the folder will exist or not in
Yeah.
the application manifest. So it just kind of makes sense to allow it to be ignored. But yeah, maybe not the best pattern, but it does make sense.
So basically, my understanding is that you are in favor of having similar flag for customize.
If the users decide to use the components, yeah, in the app manifest, I think that would make sense for them to have a way to ignore them.
Yeah, it's a kind of a application set generator issue, right? Because the user is not really writing the customization.
It's not it's not part of the application set. This is part of the application manifest. I don't think it's related to app set, even if it's generated by an application set.
Yeah, he's describing here that they are using application set. So I use an application set to define blah 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 blah. Because if it's just a single application, then as you said, the user can just provide the customization.yaml as part of their Git and not having that as part of the application resource itself. Okay, it seems we don't have a consensus here. I'll just reply back to him with what we discussed and let's see how that progresses. Any other people having an opinion on this wants to share? Okay, thank you. Moving on, Alex, I saw you added a new one. You want to mention about that one?
Yeah, so we've just found out the little regression in the RC1. So there was a new feature implemented in the revision metadata to support multi-source, and it seems that it's breaking mostly all old applications. So the revision history is an array of, I think, the last 10 sync source with an ID that seems to always increment, and the code is looking for the default ID 0, which eventually won't exist in the manifest, and return errors. So there's an issue with that new code I linked. If you look slightly down, seems to be caused by 14.124. So that seems to be the PR that added code. Not sure if that person is on the call or if one reviewer.
Alex, I could try to test it and try to reproduce this and see where is it causing. I've assigned the bug to me. I'll try to work on this either today or tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Shita. Yeah, we had this issue adding to it, and we had to revert one of our waves because of that. So it is it's easy to reproduce. It's just calling an API. In our case, it's the team is calling the Argo CD API, and that API is returning the error. But as Alex explained, the application needs to be in a certain state, right? So I think this is the idea, right, Alex?
Yeah, so this somehow the code expects this ID to be 0. I'll take more look in the code as well to find what should be the behavior. Maybe I'll sync with you, Ishta.
Sure, that works. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Cool. That wraps up the issues and triage for last week. So we need to select who is going to be doing next week. Any volunteers in the call? We need a primary and secondary.
I can do it for this week.
Thank you, Alex. Anyone else volunteering?
If no one is there, I could pick it up. Yeah.
Thank you, Shita. Okay. Cool. Thanks, everybody. All right. With that out of the way, let's go with the discussions of the day. Gosha is in the call. Sorry, am I pronouncing your name correctly? Gosha?
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you for joining. I was working with Gosh a few weeks ago. He's the person behind the new Argo City operator to create our backs as part of a CRD. So go ahead, Gosha.
Yeah, thank you. Can I share my screen?
Yes, you can take over the screen share. No problem.
Perfect. All right. Yeah, so I worked on the RBAC operator for a few weeks now as a part of my bachelor thesis. So what I've done is I designed the CRDs to be kind of similar to the Kubernetes CRDs for RBAC management. So first of all, we've got the Argo CD role right here. The name will be the role name, or like the name for the role. And we've got some rules here. We can select the resource we want to apply the permissions to. It's enum, so only these resources are allowed. And we've got some verbs to grant permissions to, and objects as the last step. And also I've created Argo CD role binding. So we split up the role and the role binding in two parts. Here we've got, similar to Kubernetes, once again, I've got the subjects, and we've got 3 different kinds for that. We've got SSO users. Those will be assigned via G string, like G user role. We've got local users. I had a discussion with Michael, so those should be assigned via P strings. So P local user, some permission. And we've got roles, so we can allow for hierarchical RBAC. And last of all, we've got the Argo CD role reference. Yeah, so I can start the operator real quick. Okay, perfect. So it's running. Yeah, and as you can see, I've got a Minikube set up here, and here's the empty config map. The config map has to exist before the CRDs are applied. Otherwise, it'll be in pending status. So the config map has to exist before any changes take place. Yeah, so we can create a new Argo CD role from sample shown you before. As you can see, it should be right here. Yeah, so it's got a status, it's reconciled, and we're gonna take a look at the Argo CD RBAC config map. We've got the role defined right here, the test role for the resource, the verbs, and the object. Yeah, so we save those under the policy overlay keys. So we've got the namespace right here and the role name right here. So we can kind of separate the different roles from each other. So it's a little bit easier to handle the deletion and stuff. Yeah, so after the role is created, we can create a role binding to bind our users to the role. So we can see here's the role binding. And as soon as it boots up, we can see that the user, the SSO user, was binded to the role. The local user gained the same permissions as the role, so it handles the local user correctly. And we've got we binded the role or admin to the test role, for example. As we bind the role bindings to the role, it writes yeah, it writes in status the ref. So those are linked together. And when you want to delete a role or like a role binding, we can do that. And what happens is the policy strings are edited. So it takes away all the bindings. Yeah, and when we delete the test role, it also deletes the whole string from whole field from the config map. Yeah, so that's basically the basic, yeah, like the first functionality they've got. In further versions, I've talked to Alexandre, we can add support for app projects, RBAC, so we can manage those via the operator as well. But I think the basic config map management is a good basis for other extensions of that operator. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right, thank you, Gosha. One thing I'd like to mention is the namespacing capability of this functionality. So if you go back to your, can you regenerate the role again?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I've got it right here.
And then if you go back to the ORBAC config map, right? It's nice that you added this this single key, right? Policy Argo CD test role .csv. I think it would be great if we could add in the key the identifier of who's doing that, who's taking care of that specific role, which is the controller itself. So maybe put the name of the controller in there somewhere.
Or just a comment in the policy as well can be done.
Yeah, that works as well. Just to make sure people are not touching this manually.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so the thing is, if we touch the config map manually, it'll get, like if we apply, write something into policy CSV, it will be deleted. So like the operator is the only thing that controls the config map and the configuration. So it's all done through CRDs, not manually.
Right, but nothing blocks a user to just come here, an Argo CD admin to just come here and change one of those values. So what would happen? What is the controller behavior if the Argo CD or back config map is changed manually?
So when it changed manually, get into code, yeah, the controller. So it reconciles the config map. It checks the config map data under the, for example, the policy key, like policy CSV. If it's not the same as the default Argo policy that's defined right here, so it's empty right now, it will be set to that default value. And yeah, it also checks for an overlay key. It's then created here. If it's not the same when we build the string again, so if it was changed manually, it will go back to the same, yeah, to the same policy that was defined through CRD.
Okay, so if someone changes the key generated by the controller manually, the controller will revert, right? It will always match with what is defined in the CRD state.
Yeah.
So I guess that's the information that needs to be added as part of a comment in there, or yeah, somewhere in there, just to make sure that no one should be touching that, otherwise it would be reverted.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. We'll
And
do.
the other thing I'd like to mention is the namespace. I added a comment in your PR requesting a change in the group of this CRD. You use the same group as the CRD is defined as part of the Argo Proj. And for Argo Proj Labs repos, we are not using that same group. So I added instructions there. So if you can just take a look and let me know, we can discuss this offline. We don't have to.
Yeah, I saw that already. I'll change it. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other comment?
Yeah, I do have a comment. Hey, and thanks. That looks really great. I think like I have a question and a comment, like for what Leo just said, like add something in the resource that indicates that this was generated by controller. Right? I think that is basically, I don't know if it's already there, but like you can have an owner reference that will indicate that this resource is created by or managed by a controller, right? So yes, that could replace a manual comment in there, because usually when you see an owner reference on a resource, you know that once you do, once you edit it, some controller might just revert it. And the second thing I wanted to ask is, like, where does this live, and where do you plan this to live? Is this a candidate for Argo Proj Labs?
Yeah, so the repo is already in Argo Proj Labs.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
so it's already there. I have to write some unit tests or like finish them so it can be merged. But yeah, it's already in Argo Proj Labs.
Cool.
Cool. Thanks, Jan, for the comments. Any other comment?
Yeah, good work. And maybe the next step would be, because as no on the PR, there was some comment about how is it going to be deployed in its own namespace or in the Argo CD namespace? Should it handle multiple Argo CD instance from the same controller? I think this should kind of be documented in not a proposal document, but something to describe what's the next step for this controller and what are the deployment models, because it will need RBAC to watch Argo CD config map, and it will also allows people to define RBAC in potentially other namespace and affect who can do what in Argo and affect basically all the potential target clusters that Argo is connected to. So
Yeah, so I defined the RBAC for the config map in the Argo CD namespace, so it only watches that one. Yeah, but I have to work on some kind of roadmap, I guess. Yeah.
So just my only question is just kind of clarifying, I think something that Leo I think already brought up, but a user would either use this or manage it manually, right? Like there's no like using both, right? You're either all in or all in or all out, right? Is that correct? Is that the idea?
Yeah, it's kind of it's at this state, if you define like your own overlay key, you can still write to it, so it won't override that, but yeah, so it would be it's a lot easier via CRDs to manage the RBAC
Gotcha.
config.
Yeah.
So we can automate it and stuff. But yeah, you can actually use both at this state, but yeah.
Okay, so it depends on like if someone goes in and tries to kind of like, I know Leo already brought this up, but like the only time it would overwrite is if they're trying to overwrite the one that was created by the controller, and the controller will revert that one. But if I create like my own key, my own overlay, it doesn't touch like existing ones
Yeah,
or like
yeah,
ones
right.
that it doesn't know about. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so
All
it's encode right here, so it just takes the role that is provided to it and builds the overlay key for that and just watches that one. So it's unlike the default policy CSV, like policy CSV. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
One thing to keep in mind is that those overlay keys, they are evaluated in alphabetical order. So if you want to replace something that is defined by the CRD, for example, you could potentially define a key that comes after it, and that will be evaluated after the one generated by the controller. So this could be one possibility. It's dirty, I think. I don't think anyone should ever be defining things in a conflicting way. But this is also a possibility. Not sure if that was super clear. All right.
Yeah, and I just have like another just a comment, because I just took a look at the repository and it's empty and there is a PR sitting and the PR gets reviews. I could just suggest just merge that PR and like take it from there. I just wanted to say, like, the first iteration of this code, it does not need to undergo the thorough reviews. I mean, there's obviously no release yet, and like, I would just give it a go, commit it, and take it from there.
Yeah, we're discussing that, Jan, but there are a few things that I think is better to sync up with contributors. Gosha is the first time contributor creating a controller by himself in Argo. And there are a few things that it's better to clarify before merging. Things like the namespace for CRDs not clashing with the ones from Argo Proj is something. Right.
That can all be changed, until the first release, though. It's just a suggestion from me. So, like, You know,
Mhm. Cool.
I mean,
All right. Thanks everybody. Any other comment here? All right. Thank you, Gosha. Thanks a lot for your work. That looks really good. Looking forward to have the first released. Cool. Let me get the screen share back.
Thank you.
And we have one more topic today from Andrew. I see you in the call, Andrew. You want me to click those links? You want to share your screen?
Yeah, I'll share in a moment. Also, since I'm new here, I will briefly introduce myself.
Sure.
I'm a software engineer currently working at Verkada. I'm stationed in the San Francisco Bay Area in California. So I generally like do some tech leading stuff, some like individual contributions, and also like specialize on like investigating and fixing stuff. And what brought me to the community is like that we like, use Argo CD, and there's been some like production issues, and I wanted to fix it and and improve things like logging, some like bugs when something gets stuck or stuff like that. And non-work fact about me, my favorite video game is Hollow Knight. Yeah. Now let me share my screen. One sec. Let me find the correct one. Yeah, so I wanted to just talk about this issue we've encountered at Verkada, and also I filed the issue, I investigated it, and hopefully like I have a fix. So like what could happen is like the UI would show that like thing is syncing, waiting for healthy state of some config map. It would show up as missing, but if you look at the sync itself, it would show like this result that like you can see that config map was actually created, and it happens like really quickly after like the sync start. To give some more context, our applications typically have like sync wave -1 where they create config map for services, and other resources are created like and managed in like later sync waves. And logs logs were not like as like special here. So I've shown some reconciliations. I found very helpful that we have this log with tasks. So they actually like made me realize that like what's happening is like in a view or a sync, the live object is nil, where target object is non-nil for that config map. That made me think that there is some like staleness is going on, and I could confirm that in Kubernetes the object itself like exists. So sorry, let me. Oh, I think I didn't. I didn't open one of the tabs I wanted to open. Okay. Oh, it's actually, let me scroll to the right place. So what I found is like when there is a watch for like Kubernetes object update, it eventually would like call this like refresh, like request up refresh, and it's gonna put like two operations, one to refresh queue and one to app operation queue. And to my understanding, like from what I dug, that like up refresh queue seemed to like just update the object state for what it should be, and up operation queue has to deal with sync. So like it's gonna extract the item, and eventually it would like call into this like sync up state. And that would eventually like create a new sync context and call this call the sync method to like do some updates and run some tasks. And I think like eventually it's like the task with config map just isn't getting processed because live object is nil. So I think that like what happened is like that going back to this original like put into the queue, what happens is like a refresh just doesn't have enough time to happen before like this up operation queue gets processed, because they processed in parallel by different like Go routines. So in the end, I figured that like, in most cases we just have this like when we add to refresh queue and we like as an add to operation queue. So I just like made a fix to like we only add to operation queue after we did a refresh, because that should ensure that we only like work with data which is already like updated. There has been like one case here as well, like on some resource handling for like application. So there is one case when it's like we also like add these two items at the same time. So I'm like again just like add it once for refresh queue and like add it for operation queue like later. Then there is a case when we request up refresh and also add after some delay, but also we immediately add to app operation queue. I left this untouched. So there is one case when like there is delete function when we only add to app refresh queue, but I thought it shouldn't hurt to also add to app operation queue later, because there are some checks which are like checking that, hey, is application actually like present. I thought about doing maybe like modifying a queue to have like two parameters, like a second parameter being Boolean with should we schedule an app refresh operation, but I thought that maybe it's like it's not necessary. Yeah, so that's roughly it. I'm happy to go into more details. I had some like posts like on the issue itself with with what's been happening, and I'm happy to answer any questions. And also like I think we can later move it offline, but like if possible, it would be nice if we can have some kind of like cherry pick for this if this is deemed like an issue that's like worth doing so.
Thank you, Andrew. I guess one thing I'd like to ask, I see that you created this ticket like a few weeks back.
Yeah.
Did you have the chance to search if we already have something?
Yeah. I tried to search for like waiting for healthy state, but I couldn't find anything like that.
Okay. Because what you described is something that I think I remember facing in the past.
I see. Yeah. I think I tried to search for something like waiting for healthy state, and I checked there all through the issues. And I think I checked closed ones as well. Actually, yeah, I don't remember like for this like very well for now. Yeah. Oh, one more thing that may be important though is like, by the way, we like also like for some environments we're using webhooks, and we increased the like regular reconciliation window from 3 minutes to like bigger one, like 30 minutes or so, because it seems like unnecessary. So maybe it makes the issue worse.
Interesting.
Because like regular with a refresh every 3 minutes, I think what could happen is like after even if it gets stuck after 3 minutes, it like naturally gets another trigger to like do some kind of refreshes and resync. But yeah, that's.
So you have your refresh configured for 30 minutes and you have webhooks configured.
Yeah, at least for some environments. Yeah, for some like AWS accounts essentially. Yeah.
And were you able to deploy your patch?
No, that's another question is like, what's the easiest way to do this? Should I just like build like with Docker and like get into like ECR repo and like have some like label the image and like deploy with that?
Yeah, it depends on how you deploy your Argo CD instance. Do you use Kustomize or use
yeah, we use custom I think we essentially I think we may have used Helm for some initial stuff, but like generally we deploy just with we have like overlays, and we just do customize apply.
Yeah, it's very easy. You just need to pack this and generate a new Docker image in your internal registry and create an overlay to patch the image to the one you created.
I see.
It depends on the component, right? I think this is part of the controller.
Yeah, it's part of a controller. Yeah.
So Argo CD has different components.
Yep.
We just need to do that for the controller.
Okay. Yeah, if you prefer me to do that, I can try to do that and like come back in like some time and just like respond on the PR or the issue. Yeah, I validated that like it at least it doesn't break anything, so like the build is green. But yeah, I can probably try to like integrate it into a development flow and like test it in on like more like live environment.
That would be awesome if you're able to reproduce in your environment and provide us some feedback. That helps a lot the review process.
Okay.
Cool. Anything else for Andrew? Anyone? Okay. Anything else, Andrew?
No, that's it.
Cool. And thanks for the intro.
Yeah. Thank you for having me here and have this opportunity to present.
Yeah, no problem. You're in the right channel. So it's the right place. Cool. Thank you. And let me get yeah, I guess we're basically done at this point. Let me share again. Any last minute topics someone wants to bring up? Okay. If not, have a great week, everyone, and see you in a week from now. Later. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Leo.
Thank you. Bye.